guess now we should move on to our third topic. So, there's been a few death battles, you know, just a little few over 100 episodes. And we've had...
Approaching 150, but, you know.
And we've had multiple franchises and characters in a matchup, but sometimes they either go with a matchup that many people didn't think to go with, or they went with a completely out of their idea. Like, people always say they go for the most popular matchups. I don't think that's entirely true. I think they look at popular matchups and see if it's worth doing.
Mm-hmm.
But if they don't like it, they'll just say, no, we're not doing that, we're doing a different one. Good example?
Yeah, like a good example is Carnage versus Lucy, because Carnage was requested more for like Darth Maul or Alex Mercer.
Yeah, and...
okay, Darth Maul is just stupid.
And another really good one is Beast Boy vs. Ben 10. I heard that was requested since Season 1, and they even talked about it during Season 1. Then they saw Alien X, and they were like, no.
How Jordan it is!
I mean, I do feel like Hal Jordan was a better choice, though. They have a lot more in common than Beast Boy.
Always more debatable.
But to be fair, I don't think they even go for... It's weird. They say they don't like doing stomp fights, but after Ben 10... not Ben 10, after Batgirl versus Spider-Gwen, I'm not sure if that's entirely true anymore, because... I mean, if you want to go...
I also would go with Thor versus Raiden.
Well, yeah, that was during Season 1, though, like I keep saying. So, I feel like they're not too against stomp matches, but I feel like they want to go for more thematic matches.
What would just be fun to do.
So, I can imagine Beast Boy vs. Ben 10, you could make that work, but then trying to make Beast Boy fight Alien X would be really hard, or you're going to have to make it so that Alien X isn't seen as too overpowered.
This is an idea I'm a little iffy on, and it's the idea that they just stick to Ben 10 Classic.
I mean, yeah, we've discussed that. No, I do feel like if they...
Especially considering that's where the rivalry started. It was the classic Ben 10 and the Teen Titans cartoon Beast Boy.
Right.
I would definitely be down for seeing that as an episode, but after the backlash they got for Ben 10 versus Green Lantern, even if Ben wins, people will be angry if they don't give him his full arsenal of aliens.
Well, honestly, I'd be up for it because they expressed interest in having both Tara and Greg voice the characters.
That's fair. But, you know, speaking of, like, characters that didn't exactly get a death battle people requested, we were recently talking before recording about characters that we feel like could have a more interesting fight, at least according to us. And I have, like, 4 characters that I feel like if I was to see them return, or if I was to, I don't know, go back in time and take over as Ben Singer, just live his life, I'll go by Bill Singer.
Yeah, basically, this is what we would have done if we were at position to make it happen in the show.
Yeah.
Right.
Basically, if we had enough money. I barely could afford my bloody PC, people. I don't know how I'll be able to afford, like, Devil Artemis to animate for me. But if I did have such money, there are 4 particular characters I feel like I would have put in a different fight. And should we also mention animation styles? We'll probably put them in as well. That could be a bit more interesting.
Yeah, that works.
So, the first one I go with, and ironically, this character was the first to be in Death Battle, Boba Fett. And I would actually still kind of keep him in, 3D. Because, obviously, with how much Star Wars changed, as someone who animated Boba Fett vs. the Predator, Boba Fett had some limited sprites, because they were from, like, a very old Star Wars game. His sprites are not good. I'm sure in Mugen, or Mugen, whatever they call it with the accent, I'm sure he has a proper sprite. But if I had to go by before that site was really up, and I had to just use the video game sprite, his suit was very limited. So obviously I'd have him be a 3D one, and I know some people might groan at this, but I probably would have put him up against Jango Fett. So I know people don't really tend to like same universe matches, but here's the thing: Boba Fett is a clone of Jango, but he's been altered. One, so he doesn't age up. Like, all the clones did in the prequels. But also, Boba Fett had a sort of different training from, like, Jango. One, Jango was raised by Mandalorians, and if you know them, they're the most deadliest warriors in the galaxy. He has, like, spear combat, swords combat, and, of course, dual wielding. Boba Fett's not really, at least from the video game knowledge, he doesn't really use, like, automatic weapons as often as, like, his son does. But then Boba Fett, even though he has the exact same armor as Jango, his weaponry of choices are a little bit different. One, he doesn't have the most advanced weaponry. In fact, he still wears like the very old school Mandalorian armor, which it's a bit beaten up, if Sean put up an image of it. And honestly, after the Mandalorian TV show where he appeared in and was kicking fucking ass, honestly, I would love to see, like, or even try and figure out who would win between these two bounty hunters. Yes, they're the same guy, literally. But I feel like they've grown up in different environments and in a different sort of areas of Star Wars to have their own style of fighting and even their way of fighting. I mean, it's also the fact as well, Boba Fett's fought against Darth Vader and survived. Jango fought against Mace Windu.
Weiss.
Yes, and Jango fought against Mace Windu and died. In fact, I'm not sure if many people noticed this. When he actually got killed in the prequels, you see a shadow of his head actually flying out of the helmet. It's pretty fucked up. Sean, if you can find a gif of that online, put it on the screen now. I find it hilarious just seeing the head just fly out. So I'd love to see them, like, see Jango and Boba Fett fight each other, just to see like which one is the superior version of. I guess I can't really call Jango a clone. And my next character I actually thought about bringing back, or not bringing back, if choose a different fight for them, is Yoshi. I love Killer Instinct. I don't love the idea of Riptor fighting Yoshi. Don't get me wrong, Riptor is a badass dinosaur, but she's probably the weakest character in all of Killer Instinct. She is literally just a raptor with few robotic augmentations.
I thought that was Spinal.
No, Spyro actually has some sort of magic and stuff like that, and he can actually fight. Riptor is literally, like, she's just like an expendable, like, weapon. You know, if she dies, they just bring her in, just repair her up. Heck, even Fulgor has destroyed, like, multiple Riptors. Like, Riptor is not that impressive, and I remember even before I watched Death Wild, like, during the Season 2 era, I wasn't discovered Season 1 till after, I think it was Deadpool vs. Deathstroke. Because it was always appearing in my recommendation. And yeah, when I saw one of the videos was Yoshi vs. Riptor, before even watching it, I was like, Riptor's dead. And I was right. Now, the character I would have to fight Yoshi, honestly, I don't have any, like, really well good connections. But while I was walking my dogs, one character popped in my head, and it was Spyro. But then I remembered, Crossover Eggs already done the episode, and yeah, I agree with the outcome of that. So I won't go too much in detail about that. I would actually recommend just watching that episode, Yoshi vs Spyro. But I feel like Spyro would have been a more fitting choice for Yoshi than Riptor. But obviously Spyro has Crash, so I guess that's that kind of conundrum there.
Yeah, that's another thing we've got to think about is, like, if we change one combatant, who do we put, like, the other one against as well?
I might have to just suck in my gut and just say, just have Spyro return just to fight Crash again. You know, as much as I wouldn't want to do that, because I would probably think of a combatant that would be fit for Crash, but, you know,
Crash vs. Spyro is one of those that you do have to do eventually.
Yeah, let's be real here. Like, I can't imagine Crash fighting anyone else except Spyro, even though they don't really have that much in common, except for being, you know...
Although I have seen Crash versus the Tasmanian Devil.
Oh, literally, that's kind of funny. In fact, I think I remember I was going to
The voice
that. Yeah, I think years ago when I was in anime, I was going to do that.
Is this going to be before or after Ghost Rider versus Scorpion?
Oh, this was going to be during after Season 2. God, I hate Scorpion vs. Ghost Rider. Not as much as I thought I did. I do think I did well for it being made in 3 days, but it's the close-up shots that make me cringe at that. But yeah, Spyro vs. Yoshi, and I'll kind of make this my last one, because I could go on. I think I'd go on for long enough about this. Oh yeah, also, if you wonder what anime show I would do, it'd be Sprite Fight, if I had to be honest, for Spyro vs. Yoshi. And another Star Wars character, Luke Skywalker, because my goodness, man, poor Harry.
I've noticed a theme with all yours. You're mostly sticking with season 1, it seems.
Yeah, because I feel like some dev battles that have come out now, I feel like they've had good opponents, really. Aside a few returning combatants, but I'm mostly going with characters that I obviously like, and if I was to do this episode. And the reason I go with Luke Skywalker, because similar to Riptor vs. Yoshi, I knew Harry was going to lose this. Like, I've read some of the Legend comics, and Luke is just so overpowered in just a few comic issues that, if this was just plainly the movies, it's even. But when you consider how much Star Wars has gone on for years and how crazy some of their power level is, I do apologise, I just slapped my desk.
Also, from what I hear in terms of like death battle matchups, apparently, yeah, Harry Potter just loses all of them.
Sucks for him. Unless you put him up against Aragon.
It's not because it's not a powerful series.
Yeah, that's kind of the problem when it comes to certain characters in Death Battle, because you've got to find them an opponent, and unfortunately, someone that would be so fitting, they're just not on that power level. And the character I kind of thought about for Luke, and this one might scratch a few heads, and it is Iron Fist.
I can both understand it and question it.
Yeah, honestly, finding an opponent for Luke is kind of difficult. Because I'm not saying Luke Skywalker is one of those perfect characters, but to find a matchup for him, it's either a matchup where he'll get completely destroyed, or ones where he completely destroys. It's one of those scenarios. It's the whole Blake conundrum I had. And honestly, the closest I can think of at the top of my head is Iron Fist. And plus, I don't know why I had this funny idea where, I don't know, Luke... but this would be a 3D fight, obviously. I had this funny idea...
Something like Luke would destroy Danny.
Yeah. I did have this funny idea where Luke becomes a Force Ghost, and he's in, like, the dimension where Iron Fist... What was that place called where Iron Fist could travel between, where one of them was, like, Hell? Or was it literally called Hell?
I think it's just they can make portals from like across dimensions to Kung Long.
Okay, I don't know why. I had this funny idea that he took Luke to Hell and killed him there, but Luke's Force Ghost just fought him there and won, and then he just resurrected. Like, that was a random idea I thought about. But yeah, I'd definitely say Luke Skywalker, if I was to choose his matchup, I probably would have gone with Iron Fist over Harry Potter. I know some people are going to scratch their heads to some of my matches, but listen, I made Ryu from Street Fighter fight Deadpool, so I'm not the best person to ask.
You made Ryu win.
I like Ryu. He's a cool character. And plus, technically, Deadpool
I think that's
lived.
the more head-scratching part.
Well, also, it was a non-researched episode. Like... Anyway, so I guess we'll now listen to your only man, which characters he would decide matches for. How many do you even...
Honestly, I just have like the one episode where I would change the both combatants. And it's Weiss versus Mitsuru.
Ah.
That was oddly one of mine.
Really?
Yeah. Because, like, okay, when that was announced, like, anyone who started, like, looking into that, the first thing they'd bring up is, Mitsuru's immune to ice, Weiss is screwed.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, like,
Yep.
like, you get all the research for Weiss, and then you start looking into Mitsuru, and that's one of the first things you find out.
Wow.
It's...
Yeah, they kind of screwed Weiss over then, didn't they?
Yeah, and especially knowing some more details, but we don't have to go into that.
In fact, like, say what
Now-
you like about Natsu versus Ace. At least Ace could actually hurt Natsu.
Yeah,
Man, that's
and
tragic.
like for who I would have Weiss fight, I'd probably have a fight Yukiko Amagi from Persona 4.
And I know exactly who that is, but can you just explain who they are for the audience?
Basically, it'd have a similar theme that Weiss versus Mitsuru did, like both heiresses to family companies. Although Weiss is like a dust conglomerate, whereas Yukiko's is an inn. So, and well, yeah, Yukiko fights with a fan, not a rapier. Like it changes the episode from being an ice fight to an ice versus fire fight. Because that's how Yukiko fights. She has fire magic.
Right, okay. I do
And
kind
you
of
might be-
like the different element fights, you know, fire versus water and all that stuff. I don't know, makes it a bit more interesting.
Yeah, and like, you might be thinking, okay, but what's Yukiko like strong or weak against? She's actually weak to ice.
Oof.
Now, I'm just throw this out there. The general power that they gave Mitsuru, from what I hear, Yukiko should roughly be able to scale to that.
Okay.
Like Mitsuru, she has healing magic, but then you've got the whole thing with like Weiss has more experience fighting than Yukiko does. She's a lot faster, so there's more of a debate there.
Right.
So I honestly could see that matchup going either way potentially. Like
Okay.
Weiss has enough stuff to get around Yukiko, but Yukiko could just have like way more power and the healing magic to keep her in the game. So, like it's closer, and honestly, I just want a Persona 4 character.
I feel like maybe I should try and give Persona 4 a try, because I recently just saw one of Max's meme videos of what was Terry Crews with, like, I'm assuming the character's you, just bursting out of the water and, like, sending the Persona 5 character into the sky. It's you!
Yeah,
It's me!
That was when. That was when Persona 4 came out on PC.
Like, I think I watched that way too much. I was like, what the fuck, man? How have I not been watching this guy's crazy videos? Like, I've watched a few of Max's videos, but I rarely ever saw, like, his meme ones. Oh, that was great.
Now, you might be thinking, okay, so who would you have Mitsuru fight then? Okay, well, first of all, before I go into that, Weiss vs Yukiko would still be a 3D fight, or you could make it a 2D sprite because they 2D fight because they both have sprites via Arc System Works, so it would go really well.
I have to ask, is she the character that called Weiss a flat chest in the crossover game?
No, that is Platinum the Trinity from Blaze Blue.
Ah, dang it. I was going to say, like, can you imagine the fight started off with that line? It's
Just
unfortunate.
no.
Hey, they've had stupider ways why a fight starts. Hell, Link just decided to try and kill Cloud while he's on a bike.
To be fair,
Now-
Link doesn't actually talk.
That's true.
Or maybe he was trying to squat a fly near him. He was like, "Wait, stop your bike! There's a fly around you."
Oh, because the Final Fantasy combat transition starts.
Eh. Anyway, mate, continue.
But anyway, as for who I would have Mitsuru fight, I went back to there's a top 10 the research team did like years ago. A lot of fights on that did end up happening, like Kirby versus Boo, Hawkeye versus Green Arrow, Ratchet and Clank versus Jack and Daxter, like a whole bunch of popular ones that they all wanted. One of them was for Mitsuru, and it was against Jin Kisaragi from Blaze Blue.
I haven't had that many Blaze Blue characters in Death Hour as well.
Yeah, that's another reason why I would have opted for that, because, well, it's finally bringing back Blaze Blue.
Like, when was the last Blaze Blue fight? That wasn't a DBX.
Ragnar versus
Ragnar.
Skull.
Really? During season 2?
Yep.
Yep.
Fucking
It's
hell.
been 6 years since the last BlazBlue character.
I mean, granted, Nick and some other researchers hated researching BlazBlue, but at the same time, even though BlazBlue isn't as popular as it is in Japan across like the UK and America, I feel like if you're gonna have like characters like Shovel Knight fight like Scrooge McDuck or Dig Dug versus Bomberman, then come on, get some more BlazBlue in there. Come on.
Yeah, so that's honestly like the biggest episode I would change, and that's who would put both combatants against instead of each other.
Alright then, is that it? There's no other character you've thought about?
Yeah, I'll pass it to Sean if I think. Oh no, like as much as I did enjoy this episode and it meant like a lot to me, I probably would have ended up changing Yang's opponent to Tex rather than Tifa.
Tex? Interesting. Why?
And as for who Tifa would fight, I'd probably just put her against Sakura from Naruto. Or Makoto from Persona 5.
And there's no...
I hear that's been getting popular.
If it was Sakura, there's no loser in that scenario where... Because we know Tifa's going to win that. So one, Final Fantasy fans get to see Sakura die. And the plus side is, Naruto fans get to see Sakura die. It's a win-win. Unless she wins, then both sides are fucked.
Get everything from you, mate?
Yeah, I was
You're
going to
gonna
say...
make me edit in a bunch of crickets.
But now I think so.
Okay. I originally had 4, but Mate took 1 away, so I will not bring up Weiss versus Mitsuru.
I mean, who would you have put them against? I'm just curious.
I honestly can't answer that because I don't know a whole lot about Mitsuru.
Okay, never mind then.
Yeah. Because, like, I know who I would have put against Weiss, but I wouldn't answer that because I don't know who I would put Mitsuru up against. But let's start with probably the biggest one I always complain about. I would have changed Black Widow versus Widowmaker.
Ooh, go on.
I mean, in a way, it makes sense, but I feel like this was a big mismatch when this got announced.
Believe
Like,
it or
what
not,
was an Overwatch character going to do against Black Widow?
believe it or not, that fight was originally going to happen in Season 5.
Really?
Why?
Yeah. Oh, because it was that popular request.
I don't see why.
I guess because their names are so similar and their backstories are similar.
Probably.
And because everyone seems to like their butts.
Okay, let's start off with Widowmaker then, because I've even said this to Mate before, who I want Widowmaker's opponent to have been, because it makes sense thematically once you learn their story. I would have put Widowmaker up against the Hunter from XCOM War of the Chosen.
As much as I've played XCOM, I've only played Enemy Unknown, and I've seen the Over Englishman play the XCOM 2, but he's played it so modded that I don't know what's part of the game and what's not.
The Hunter is part of the War of the Chosen expansion pack that was released for XCOM 2.
Yeah, I know that.
He's
but...
one of the three Chosens, which were, from what I'm understanding, they were humans, but the Elders kind of experimented on them and turned them into something else, kind of like what happened to Widowmaker and Talon. The only thing really varying from their backstories is that Widowmaker is a lot more cold-hearted, and the Hunter is honestly the comedic relief of the Chosen. But that's probably because he has Nolan North as his voice actor.
I actually also kind of... I mean, from what I've seen of the Hunter from all the videos I've seen, though, like, doesn't he kill his own men for sport, though?
That's just a line he says.
And you think he doesn't actually do that, given the fact he's okay with shooting civilians?
But also keep in mind, I know people are going to bring up that, oh, but the Hunter only looks to capture players and whatnot. But he does kill soldiers. He can kill your squad mates, whether it be in his hideout or even on like missions he shows up on. And he can actually kill people. Not to mention their arsenals are sort of similar. They both have a grappling hook for maneuverability. Their sniper rifles are ridiculous, and they each have their own explosive kind of deal, whether it's the venom mine or the disorientation grenade that the hunter wields.
I guess where
they're
XCOM
similar.
isn't as popular.
Go ahead.
I guess where XCOM is not as popular, then, and because obviously with the MCU, Black Widow getting her own movie, they just went with that. But after hearing how you describe this character, I'm just like, bloody hell, I kind of wish they did go with the hunter. Like, the only one of the Chosen I properly know enough about is the assassin.
Right. I was about to bring this up because you did help Yang research the assassin for one of their fights.
Yeah, I am.
And scaling someone like the hunter to the assassin is fair game.
Yeah.
Because they're both experimenting on it, it's just that they have different abilities.
Yeah, I might as well actually confess this now because this is going to be on YouTube. I couldn't be bothered to actually research that because I didn't have the game, so I just looked up a wiki and just sent that to Yang. So, Yang the Insane, yeah, sorry, I didn't put that much effort into your work. Sorry.
Yeah. The only thing that's going to be hard if they researched Hunter, honestly, is deciding what weaknesses they get. But thankfully, in War of the Chosen, you can just choose to do the straight line DLC, which automatically locks some weaknesses and strengths for the Hunter, for the assassin, compared to the Hunter. So it's not impossible, but I kind of would love to see how the research team would have tackled a character like that.
I actually do also want to point out that I'm going off XCOM enemy. Mate doesn't even understand what the fuck we're talking about. I don't think he's ever played XCOM.
Probably not.
Played it.
Oh, you have? Okay, fair enough. Yeah, if you do go with the tutorial
I've
story...
played it with Yang.
Fair enough. Wow. So even your only mate's played XCOM 2 and I haven't. Wow. That's embarrassing.
Shame.
I will just throw out there, this was like years ago at this point. There was this one game where I had one hidden unit left, and she just could not find me. And there was this moment where I got like a critical shot on one of her units, killed it. She just sends me a message, all caps, "Where are you?"
Oh. You're
I was backed into a corner as well. There was nothing I could do.
You know, I think after this
That was the one
podcast,
I took.
you and I are going to die by Yang the Insane. She's coming for us. Like...
Alright.
and I was going to say briefly that the tutorial missions are technically canon. Well, the tutorial in the XCOM 1 game are said to be canon. So the character you get from the tutorial is canon to the story. So I guess you could do the same with the tutorial mission for the Chosen.
Mm-hmm.
So that's actually a really interesting match. And it's saying this, I might actually finally decide to play XCOM 2 myself and see what the Hunter's about.
Mm-hmm. But for Black Widow, I know people are going to ask, who would I change for Black Widow? The only character for me that comes to mind that I think would be interesting is Deadshot.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Plus, I think it would be a really cool fight, like especially in 3D style between Black Widow and Deadshot.
I don't know, I feel like if they bring in Deadshot, they'd have him fight Bullseye.
So I'm not laughing at you guys.
They might, but the story also would be kind of cool if they did that. Like, he could be targeting Black Widow for an assassination, because, that's what Deadshot do. I think it has decent potential.
Yeah, I could actually see that working.
Alrighty. So, with that first one out of the way, I just went over that because the Hunter, I really wanted to get out there, is a really cool opponent, and I do hope he gets used one day. But number 2, I would change. It might hit me for this. Leon versus Frank, I would change.
Oh, do you know what? Yeah, I do think the same, but I'm very curious who you would choose for Leon.
I have an idea of who we would put Frank against.
Alright, who do you think I would put Frank against? Let me hear you.
Ash Williams.
Either Ash or Juliet Starling, honestly.
Oh, I remember I used to play Lollipop Chainsaw. It's a very underrated game.
I think the thing with Frank is I feel like he has a lot of different ways he can go about this. And when this episode got announced, I was like, hey, cool, Frank West. And then it's just like, oh, he's fighting Leon. he's screwed.
Yeah, after playing Resident Evil 4 myself, I was like, wow, they put
Here's the
Frank
thing.
West up
Yeah.
against this guy?
Yeah, I didn't know a whole lot about Leon, but just based off what I knew about other Resident Evil games, I'm like, yep, you're fucked. But, with Frank, he's got a variety of different options. And, like, yeah, I can kind of understand why they use Leon, but that's still my least favorite episode of that season. It's because I feel like it's such wasted potential for both characters.
It's funny to think about how when I saw that episode years ago, I was like, oh, I don't care about Resident Evil. But now after watching or playing all the Resident Evil games, including Resident Evil 4, that episode's become one of my favourites.
That is understandable.
And this comes from
Yeah,
a
I
guy
would
who was
put-
rooting for Frank at first.
Yeah. Yeah, but I would put Frank against either Ash Williams or Juliet Starling. Juliet would be kind of interesting with the voice acting that she has. And matching with the personality against Frank, honestly. That'd be kind of interesting. Unless they go with the personality from Dead Rising 4.
Yeah, that game kind of killed the franchise, and ironically, I don't see it rising anytime soon.
God damn it, Bill. Back on.
Come on, man, you're just handing me these puns.
Alright, Leon. Let's just go on to Mr. Kennedy. It took me a while to think about this, because at first I thought about maybe Leon should fight Tank Dempsey from COD Zombies. COD Zombies is really, really chaotic. So then I thought, what about some cops who were cops, but they get dragged into some of the most unfortunate situations? So I would have put Leon against Stryker from Mortal Kombat.
Oh, dude, that would be so sick. Like, I love Stryker. I don't know why the fan base hates him so much.
I know people would say that Stryker could also go against Chris, but that's why I like having Stryker as an option for Leon, because you can go with either or for him, honestly.
Hell, you name me a police officer that had the balls to go up against Shao Kahn with a pistol
Yeah.
and a taser.
Plus, I feel
he
like
has
there's-
balls.
I think there's definitely more of a debate when it comes to Stryker versus Leon, knowing that we know what we know of Leon today. Like, I don't know how Mate feels about it, since he normally knows a lot more about stats and numbers compared to me and Bill.
Hey, I know my stats and numbers. Ish.
Okay, Mate, you were gonna say?
Oh, I have no idea what these guys.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. But I feel like that would be a really cool debate. And for that, I would definitely keep it sprite style, because I think you can make a Stryker sprite work really well if going by Johnny Cage and Captain Falcon sprites are anything to go off of.
Who do you think would actually win that? 'Cause I'm leaning towards Stryker.
I honestly don't know. I think Leon might pull it out, but it's a close debate, I feel like.
I think the final bit should be like their last weaponry they're using. Like Stryker is using like a taser, and Leon has his knife. Like similar to how
That'd be kind of cool.
Similar to how Snake and Fisher were fighting. It's just like that, but with a taser and a knife.
Alright, there is one more that I would change, and it's in Season 2. I know this episode was fantastic when it came out. I was thinking about it ever since a certain character for a game came out. I would change, now knowing what I know nowadays and knowing how of a different matchup this could have been, I would change Snake versus Sam Fisher.
Oh wow, funny I mentioned that.
As much as I love that fight, there's an opponent for Sam that I would love to see.
And that
For
is
Sam Fisher, it is Caveira from Rainbow Six Siege, who is the stealth operative of the game. And with Siege getting more storylines nowadays, and then developing their characters finally, it would be kind of cool to see how different stealth styles go at it, because just like Sam, she does have gadgets to find Sam out, and also, apparently her stealth style is a lot more brutal with her training and everything.
Didn't Splinter Cell and Rainbow Siege cross over at one point? Or am I thinking of another game?
No, that's Ghost Recon.
Right.
They by the same
yeah.
devs, though.
Okay, yeah.
Both Tom Clancy, but I think now with the Rainbow Six characters getting some development, if they develop Caveira, which I hope they do, because all the characters deserve some development with what R6 is doing, then that would be pretty cool to see. Yes, I know Sam vs. Snake was the fantastic episode, but as a debate, what did really Sam have going for him besides silent assassination?
Oh shit.
Yeah, from what I heard, general consensus was Snake wins.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, I was trying to think of some way to defend Sam. It's like, he has a knife. it's a curly
but Snake is better trained.
Well, I actually consider them both equally trained. It's just the fact that Snake was just superior in, like, endurance, strength, and, like, speed. Like, whereas Sam's, like, superhuman in terms of his physical capabilities, Snake is a bit over that. Especially with Kojima's bloody mindset.
Yeah.
Heck, even in his old age, he was still kicking butt.
That's like the biggest reason I would honestly change this matchup is because of the debate itself. As for Snake, I think we said his name earlier, but maybe Chris could work, especially with the development he's getting, especially after RE8, which you can go check out on Bill's channel. He just finished it.
Yeah, I could see that matchup happening one day.
And especially with the equipment Chris has now, like, without spoiling too much, there's a moment he's gunning through this one section of monsters, and no joke, he has automatic night vision goggles. And no joke, he can actually punch monsters away, similar to how Carlos could in the Resident Evil 3 remake. And, he also has a little laser dot sight that can summon an airstrike. So...
I've heard there's some absurd shit that Snake has too, though.
Yeah, but there's one thing
exactly.
Chris
Then you gotta figure out what's... Go ahead.
Chris has one thing over Snake. He's a boulder punching asshole. I still love that moment from Resident Evil 5. It's so dumb, but I love it. Like, should I keep pushing it?
It's such a good meme, though.
Should I keep pushing it? No, just gut punch it. And even when he does nudge it, he punches it again.
He does, and it's just hilarious. But like, the biggest reason I would change like those episodes is because of the debate themselves. Yeah, the episode can end up fantastic, but what makes a good death battle is not just how it turns out at the end of the day, but also is the debate interesting enough.
Like, I guess when you try and put it in the way, like, Whiz and Booms, like, even for stomp fights, try and give the opponent something. It's really hard for Sam.
Or there's like, or there's like, this matchup is just like that iconic and popular that you kind of have to do it. Like Ratchet and Clank versus Jak and Daxter, for an example.
I don't kind of consider that fight as like one-sided. I feel like Jak had a lot of good things. It's just that Ratchet had like a shit ton of weaponry.
He could outlast all the eco stuff that Jak had.
Yeah, and even then, he had ways to, like, they could have ended the fight in like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
It's kind of a shame. I'm a bit of a Jak fan.
That fighting stance, though, from Jak. Fantastic.
Me and my sister watched it, and she grew up playing Ratchet and Clank, whereas I was Jak and Daxter, so we were both looking forward to the episode, and oh my goodness, she was pulling up all these guns and stuff like that. I'm just like, well, you know, Jak has Dark Jak.
And Light Jak, apparently.
I didn't actually know about this. I never played the third one, because I think as a kid, it was so hard for me. I got really annoyed. I never got that far to unlock it. And people say that's kind of the easier one out of the three. Well, it's like out of the two ones, because the first one's pretty easy. It's just between those two. People say the third one's the easiest. I disagree.
I have all the guidebooks, so yeah, it makes sense.
Oh, also, speaking of that fight, I found out about this. You know the Rhino 5 and how dangerous that is? Yeah, there's actually more powerful rhinos that they could have given Ratchet, but didn't. Don't
mess with my feelings, mate. You don't want to know what happens when a British man gets angry.
I mean, he should know. He's British.
Yeah.
That's fair enough. It was an even fight then.
But I think that's all the matches I can think of that I would personally change. Hopefully someone in the comments brought up a match that we didn't think of.
Yeah, so if there are any characters or matches where you think should be switched over with certain other opponents, or do you think we're dumb and, our matches suck and, the ones they have are perfect? Let us know in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this discussion, be sure to share the video around and get the channel growing. And I guess this will be the midway finale for Lads Discuss Death Battle Season 2. So, yeah. See you when the next half comes. You ready, mate? Do your outro.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, remember to like and subscribe. If you did not enjoy this, be sure to like and subscribe. Check out the rest of the stuff that Billy does. Click the link below to go to Sean's channel, check out what he does. And check out what I do on my channel. I'm going to try and do other stuff now that Death Battle's on a break.
Yeah. Sean, you do your outro.
Hey, I get to actually do my outro this episode. Thank you, folks, for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. For that reference, go to our last podcast, but check out all the links in the description that Bill will put there, such as our Twitters and his Twitch. And if you want to take a look at some memes, go to Mate's channel. If you want to check out some other stuff like what I'm going to be working on soon, head over to my channel. Or if you're looking for some Resident Evil stuff, stick with Bill's channel. And thank you, folks, for watching, and I will see you all later.
You ready, mate? I think we might need to leave the country before Yang the Insane comes for us.